What's happening, everybody? Off the Mike Sports Network. Another edition of Browns thoughts here. The Cleveland Browns have won their third game of the season. They are now 3-8. They went on the road, 24-10 at the Las Vegas Raiders. Um, there's a lot to dissect out of this game. I know what the narrative is going to be. The Browns maybe have found their franchise quarterback. I still have my doubts because I think while there was some good in this game against the Raiders for Shedeur Sanders, he had a really nice throw in early on in the game to Isaiah Bond, a 50-yard pass, really, which was just impressive in the air. You wouldn't see that from Dylan Gabriel. He also had a 60-yard touchdown, but it was a check down, it was a screen pass, a swing pass, whatever. So he threw for 200 yards. I think he had a 55% completion percentage, 11 to 20, 209, one touchdown, one interception. He was only sacked once, which, was a little bit more impressive. He handled things a lot better than he did getting thrown in against the Ravens. But here's why. Listen, Shedeur did what he was supposed to do. He won this game, and he didn't really screw it up. Because here's the reality of the situation. The Raiders are really bad. I don't know how this team beat the New England Patriots in week 1. That New England Patriots team that has only lost one time since then to the Pittsburgh Steelers, which I think was like week 4 or 5 or something like that. The Patriots are one of the best teams in the NFL. The Raiders are one of the worst. Try telling that to somebody. Like, I don't know how the hell that result. And that was in New England, by the way. This Raiders team has won one game since that point. This is one of the worst teams in the NFL. At minimum, Shedeur needed to go into this game, complete some passes, throw for a couple hundred yards, and have a touchdown. He did do that. He did the bare minimum. But let's not get ahead of ourselves, everybody. That's not the story of this game, okay? I'll give him credit. He did the bare minimum. I think he's earned the right to start the rest of the season. I absolutely think that's the case. I like Dylan Gabriel. I covered him in college. I covered Shedeur in college. I think Dylan Gabriel's an incredibly smart guy. He's undersized, and it almost seems like he's scared to throw the ball down the field. I think if it comes down to it and both are healthy, I think Shedeur has earned the right to at least get another game against a legitimate team moving forward. And the Browns, looking at their schedule moving forward, they're at home next week against the 49ers. That's not going to be an easy task. I mean, I know 49ers have some injuries on their defense, but still, Robert Saleh, that guy is a very aggressive defensive coordinator. He's been a head coach in this league, so I don't think that that's going to be an easy task. And I mean, Shedeur's going to have to prove, hey, you might have to play in some inclement weather in Cleveland. I mean, he did do it at Colorado, but we're getting into late November right after Thanksgiving. So we'll see how this goes. But to me, and I said this in my preview of this game, I expected that Shedeur Sanders was going to play well, and I expected, if everything was supposed to go according to plan, that the Browns were going to win this game. The Raiders are not good. They have a couple of decent players. Geno Smith has completely lost it, looks completely washed. The offensive line that they have is not good, and Ashton Janty's trying to do it by himself. Brock Bowers is a great tight end, but it's like, and Max Crosby's a good defensive player, but they got nothing on that team. And Pete Carroll, God bless him, in his 70s, it is not working. And it's very clear that this is heading for maybe a complete shuffle there in Vegas. I just don't see how they can trot this thing back. This, like I said, watching this game, the Browns were basically the better of two bad football teams. Similar to what happened, and like I said, this could have been the same result that they had with the Jets, but a couple of special teams miscues, and it led to the Jets ultimately winning that game in their rebuilding. So, like I said, I don't really take too much away from this on the side of the offense because, you still had Jerry Jeudy with a goofy-ass turnover trying to high step at the 50-yard line after making a big play. Like, Shedeur made a couple of nice throws. His one touchdown was a gimme, and Dylan Sampson did all the rest, and there was some good blocking down the field, and the Raiders played atrocious defense. That's really what it was. Now, to what the real story of this game is. This Browns defense, if not for being a bad football team in the other two phases of football, which is offense and special teams, and the special teams was all right. They had a good punt return that set up the first touchdown of the game. This defense is as good as any unit defensively in the entire NFL. It's as good of a defense as you're going to find in the entire NFL because you have Myles Garrett playing defensive end, 3 sacks in this game. Guys, think about this. In the last 4 weeks, he has had a 5-sack game, a 4-sack game, and now a 3-sack game. He has 18 sacks 11 games into the season. I'm not going to do the math for you there. You guys can go do that and tell me in the comments what that is per game. But he needs 4.5 sacks the last 6 games of the season. He doesn't even need to have a sack in he could take a couple of games off in terms of sacks and still break the record held by Michael Strahan at 22.5. I think it's Michael Strahan. Don't quote me on that. But what this defense did, 10 sacks as a unit. 10. They had 10 sacks as a unit, which Myles Garrett had 3 of them. Like this was an unbelievable performance from this defensive team. Because let's take a look at this roster. So you had Malik Collins had 2.5 sacks. Like, I'm going to shout out everybody who earned a sack. Malik Collins, 2.5 sacks. Jerome Baker, half a sack. Shelby Harris, half a sack. Mike Hall, half of a sack. Obviously, Myles Garrett had 3 sacks. Cam Thomas had 1 sack. Isaiah McGuire had 1 sack. Devin Bush had a sack. Like, seriously, like this, 10 sacks, 13 TFLs in this game. Like, this is ridiculous, the numbers that they put up. Carson Schlesinger, by the way, should be the defensive rookie of the year. Myles Garrett should be the defensive player of the year. Whatever, like the personnel that they have given Jim Schwartz is really unbelievable. And I hate saying this to people who want Kevin Stefanski fired. If you're going to fire him, you have to keep Jim Schwartz in the building because whatever he is doing with this group of people, this group of players on defense is really amazing. Schlesinger had 11 total tackles, 6 of them solo, 1 TFL. Like, he was great. Tyson Campbell, who, by the way, came over in that trade for Greg Newsome with the Jags earlier in the year, he had 10 tackles, 7 of them solo. Like, it was, Denzel Ward had a couple passes defense in this game. I think he broke the record for it. They were hitting the quarterback. I mean, it was truly a dominant defensive performance. And if you really want to tell the accurate story of this game, the Browns defense is nasty. And you put them up against a really bad team, they're going to dominate and they're going to feast. And they had 10 sacks. And Myles Garrett, like I said, he's had 3 or more sacks in 3 out of the last 4 games. That's absurd. 18 sacks through 11 games, already a team record. That's already a Browns team record. That's insane. We've given Myles Garrett such a hard time for the contract and, the whole trade request, and then he reneged on it. He's gone out there and balled the fuck out. So, listen, you guys can all be, on the quarterback. I'm still going to have my reservations about the future of the quarterback position. I think, frankly, as far as I'm concerned, Shedeur has earned the right to start the last 6 games of this season. That's my opinion. Unless he really falls flat, he could fall flat against San Francisco. But, there are games left on this schedule where I think they still got to play Cincinnati at the end of the year. They still got to play Tennessee, which is a bad football team. So, listen, he looked good. He looked all right. But he also had a really bad interception. His 1 touchdown was a check down pass to Dylan Sampson, who showed that he's really fast, and it was a 65-yard touchdown. Look, listen, and he's going to go into the record books as the one rookie quarterback in the last 18 tries that won his first start. So good for him. He did what he was supposed to do. Like, for God's sake, Baker Mayfield had the same situation where he came in relief and then won the next week. And then he lost the next week to this Raiders team, ironically. That's very ironic. Remember, he went to Oakland and lost that game. That was a crazy game where Derek Carr, I think, scored at the end of that game 7 years ago. This is a really bad Raiders football team. Shedeur did what he was supposed to do, made some mistakes, 55% completion rate, but I'm not ready to crown him. And if you guys are like, oh, he's the future of this team, he's the future star of this team, guys, I'm warning you, do not get out in front of this too soon. I've seen this many times before, and as far as I'm concerned, he didn't really prove that much. All he proved was that he's better than the other guy, which is a very low bar to set. And if you're at that point of your level of Browns fandom, you really need to reevaluate things. I understand that we've seen some bad quarterback play in the last few seasons, but by no means did what I see today make me feel inspired that we found the next guy. That's ridiculous if you think that. Like, you can say that one of your takeaways from this game is that Shedeur looked competent. But the bigger takeaway from this game is the Browns defense is as good as any unit in the entire NFL. 10 sacks. Myles Garrett had 3 of them. He is going to obliterate the sack record if everything goes according to form. And he continues to play the way that he has. It's very possible he could break it with a couple of games to spare, but who knows? But please, for the love of God, do not let Shedeur Sanders and that performance, which was fine for a rookie, but was not spectacular by any means, take away from the true story of this game, that this defense is fucking special. Schlesinger's was awesome. Hell, Harold Fannin had an amazing first down play. Quinshon Judkins scored 2 touchdowns in this game. Like, can we kind of focus on the whole team? I understand the quarterback is a big part of it, but the defense has really been a star performer for this team all season, and they deserve a lot more attention. I understand, Dion's in the stadium, Matt Barnes is hanging out with all these other people, all these celebrities in the building hanging out, and that was really what this was about, because it was 2-8 football teams. But Myles Garrett had an unbelievable game. The defense had an unbelievable game. So can we please focus on that before, we just start crowning quarterbacks? I understand everybody's so fixated on the quarterback and how bad that position has been for this organization for a long time. But I didn't see very much in this game outside of, one throw that he made to Isaiah Bond in the first quarter that really made me at least think about, hey, this guy could be the future face of the franchise. It's the Raiders. What do you want? If he went 15 of 25 for 300 yards, that would have been like, hey, cool. But at the same time, it's the Raiders. He did what he was supposed to do. Slow down a little bit, and let's please focus on what the real story of this is, which not a lot of people are going to focus on because the Browns are so bad, but this defense is unbelievable. Anyway, thanks everybody for watching. I'll see you guys soon. Bye-bye.